Hello, hello. Hello, everyone. I think we're live. I hope we're live. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome. It's kind of slightly delayed. If you guys can hear me clearly, say hi, hello. Has everyone had their dinner? How's everybody doing? Hi, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Hi. Well, thank you for being so nice. Everyone say hi. All right, we'll wait for a few more minutes so people can start coming in. But how's everybody today? Have you guys had your dinner already? Or are some of you eating dinner while watching this? Haven't had dinner yet. Oh no. Maybe you can grab something quick and eat while watching this. We'll wait for one last minute and then we will start. So you don't delay too long. Am I clear? Can you guys hear me clearly? Hi, Heather. All right. Cool. So I won't delay you guys any further. I'll just do my introduction while we get more people to come in. But thank you guys so much for joining us again for our fourth webinar right now. Today we'll be talking about effective influencer marketing. The last session, we had quite a number of questions and inquiries about influencer marketing. So I hope that all of you who are joining us today are very keen to learn a little bit more about it or understand more about how to do influencer marketing campaigns, but do it in a very effective way. So before we actually go into the influencer marketing session, let me just give you a short introduction of Open Academy. So Open Academy is actually the education arm of a company called Open Minds, which is a marketing technology company that has been in the industry for about 8 years now. So as Open Minds and as Open Academy, we have actually served quite a number of clients within the industry. We have done digital marketing consultation, we have done tech innovation, tech development, we have done many kinds of creative work as well. So whatever that falls under the marketing technology arm, we have kind of done it. So as you can see on the slides, we have served over 100 brands across APAC and Europe. We've been featured on quite a number of media as well. If you look us up, you probably be able to find us, whether it's Open Minds or Open Academy. And we also influence about thousands of people because we are very active within the industry, thousands of people monthly around the globe through talks, seminars, and also a lot of conferences. So for Open Academy, our goal here is really to bring you practical insights from what we have experienced with our clients to you, right? So there's no fluff from client to classroom. Our instructors or our trainers are practitioners within the industry. So they're really experts within the industry of things that they have done before. We bring them here to kind of educate you. Because we have been in the industry for a while now, about 8 years, right? So we have actually a lot of partners, connections that we can actually connect you guys with as well. And the last point is that we actually provide you with lifelong support. So once you join Open Academy or you have attended one of our courses or even our webinar session, you have become our alumni and you actually have lifelong support. So we won't kind of let you fend for yourself. We take care of you. A lot of our alumni or our students in the past still reach out to us and are still connected with us. So we give you this kind of lifelong support. So that's it for my quick introduction. It's really quick, few minutes of Open Academy. So we'll be moving on to today's speaker. So today's speaker, as you can see there, is Darrell Tong. He is the co-founder of Open Minds. Some say he is an influencer himself, but so there you can see a long list of his achievements and accomplishments below. I'll highlight a few. He's top 10 visionary leaders of 2018. He's also one of the most influential leaders in business of 2019. He is a part-time trainer. He is also a consistent speaker and contributor with BFM. So without further ado, the man of the hour, I'll put him on and I'll let him take over.
Hello, good evening, guys. Thank you, Celine. Thank you for the introduction. No influencer at all, but thank you very much. Tonight, we're going through a very quick and simple, very straightforward debate on effective influencer marketing. Now, this is something that I think there are two schools of thought here. Some people think that influencer marketing is still alive. Some say influencer marketing is not. But let's break down the myth today and try to help you in this time and day how to have a very effective influencer marketing. The first thing I want to tell you is that in this season of time, right, if we do not embrace digital, it's very easy for us to be left behind. Worst case, we become obsolete altogether. There's a huge debate again on influencer marketing. So what really works, and like any other marketing initiative, it's really about selecting the right channel. Yeah, we talked about that even in a few webinars as well. Pairing it with the relevant content and blasting out to the right target audience. I think that is very, very important for us. So influencer marketing, get this, guys and girls, is that targeting a ready community that is built by trust between the creator and their audience. It's basically a word of mouth marketing, but better yet is by their ideal idol in that sense. So do allow me as I continue on and bring you a bit of stats for today. In today's landscape and social behavior, we notice an uptrend of consumers following influencers for their personality, content, commentaries, and so on. A survey by Edelman 2019 says that 63% of 18 to 34-year-olds trust what an influencer says about a brand more than what the brand says about itself in advertising. So that means consumers 18 to 34, more than half of them trust the influencer more than the brand. And this is only a survey done in 2019. And if you come today in 2020, you notice trust factor is absolutely vital. And if you come in today's pandemic or COVID-19 in this whole downturn, you want people to filter you, and usually people will go to influencers, people who they can trust, their community, their family, their friends, to actually look for content that relate to them and they can trust in terms of their experience. Now, if you look at Scott D. Cook, he said a brand is no longer what we tell the consumers. It is that what consumers tell each other. Is this right here, guys and girls, is the fundamental of word of mouth reviews, right? What gets you to buy something online is extremely important. It's all about the reviews. It's all about people telling you how their experience. Like if you bring this into influencer marketing, it's exactly that, right? The brand can gain control by having the right spokesperson, the right ambassador on their side to relay the brand's message and unique selling points to their community. This also means that brands need to really offer quality products, yeah, that is proven to work. So if you're tuning in today, if you are influencer, if you are from an agency or you're from a brand, notice that a lot of the slides following from here will teach you then from a brand perspective, from a marketing perspective, and also as an influencer, what then should your stand be as well. All right. I will move straight into 5 strategies that I we feel that will help you in your influencer marketing initiatives and to make it more and more effective. Number one is this, and I always talk about this: having an influencer. It's all about a long-term relationship. Build that long-term relationship with the influencers. The touch and go method doesn't really work to build an brand affinity and a long-lasting conversation or conversion rate with your brand. Having an influencer committed to your brand is most important. Adding that value, adding that communication definitely takes time, but having this long-term relationship, the more you build the relationship with them, the more organic and natural their communications will be towards their community. So we do urge you to build this long-term relationship with your influencers. Now, how do you exactly build relationship? 3 very simple rules. Number one, get a manager or a PIC, or worst case scenario, put someone in charge, put someone in your team to specifically look at all the brand ambassadors and influencers to build that rapport with them. Keep it friendly, really like how you would treat a friend, and be genuine, be interested in their lives, their achievements and their seasons of life, their birthdays. Some influencers, maybe they're pregnant, for females, or giving birth. Wish them all the best. They are getting married. Some influencers achieve certain awards. I would encourage you to be there for their season, as though the brand and the PIC or the manager is there for them. So if you're unable to handle this on your own, I would definitely advise you to get a manager, put a PIC on top of that. It's a full-time job. Now you need to gain trust. The second thing is trust. Allow the influencers to express themselves. I think it's very important that they express themselves and allow this creative freedom to a certain extent, with clear guidelines from the brand, of course. Let them speak to their audience as the way they speak to their audience, and do not throw a spanner into the works and try to dictate a lot of their tone or their persona. What works for them really worked because they built this community, and the community liked them for them and their persona. The third thing is help them to be part of a family. Help them welcome the influencers as part of the family. A bigger cause, invite them to special events. Small gestures goes a long way. Try not to be too calculative with your time or your product sponsorships to them. Be a teamster. Help them to be a teamster. Really welcome them to be part of your team. Now that's how 3 easy steps to build that relationship and trust with all your influencers. Now we'll move on then to how exactly you can get acquainted, or matchmaking, what we call matchmaking part 1 with your influencers. Online is free for you to quote unquote spy on your potential influencers. Follow them and see which of the influencers matches you the best, matches the brand and the community and the tone. Use hashtags to find them. These are ways you can find influencers, by using hashtags. Find more influencers by searching on who the influencers themselves actually follow. So if you're able to tap into their follower tabs on Instagram, see who they follow, local or overseas, go and check other influencers out as well. Now, if you have to understand that influencers now is more systematic, whereby we have a bunch of influencers that are broken down in certain categories. Certain influencers are called or understood as nano, micro, macro, and mega influencers. Now, if to put a quantity to this, as you can see on the screen, a nano influencer ranges anyway 10K or less influencer. You call them nano influencers. Micro influencers, 10K to 100K followers. Macro, 100K to 1 million. And mega, these are your celebrities, your artists, 1 million and above. All right. This is just to give you a gauge of where you stand as a brand and how you can engage these influencers. Let's deep dive now straight into each category of influencer, and to tell you exactly what they are best at, their strength. So if you look at Nano Influencers, the far left one, you see that they have a small and tight community. This is the criteria or the characteristics of a Nano Influencer. Their hyper local content really works best. So if you have something that is more neighborhood, more local, more hyper local, they have their own community. Tap into that. Higher mass nano influencers because they are on the slightly more reasonable side because of their following, and they're still slightly on the low end, but hire them in the mass so that you can gain more engagement rates, more wider reach, and so on. If you look at micro then versus nano, you understand that micro then they are roughly youngish to the scene, but they're already growing in 5 to 6 figures. They're hungry and ready to go. These are the influencers you want to connect with. They're late. They have lesser protocols, slightly more flexible into a certain extent. They're able to work with you, engage with you organically as well. So smaller base, but with the correct targeted content and the more niche content, you're able to reach out to their audience as well. You can also hire micro influencers on a more mass basis because again they're more reasonable to a certain extent, but depending on the audience and your target community as well. Now moving on to macro, these are the 100K to 1 million. It's a huge jump, but this typically involves a large audience base, even large engagement base on a certain very niche, for example, like beauty, food, travel, lifestyle, retail, fashion. So they're very, very niche to a certain extent. So effective brand collaboration is very much welcome to build these relationships with these macro influencers. You don't have to hire a lot, but you can go very, very niche. If you stick to a specific niche, you can gain certain relevancy in their audience because their audience follow this macro influencers, especially the macro influencers. They came from micro to macro, so they really built their community from scratch. And certain of their community actually are from young have been following these macro influencers as well. All right, we move on now to tip the scale and talk about mega influencers. They're more the celebrities, 1 million and above followers. They are really social media stars, right? Their star attraction really drive mass brand awareness, and you can make a certain mark, impact. But most importantly, if you get them on board, you can have exclusivity to a certain extent, and you can have your brand endorsed by a celebrity. Now, you do not want to go mass on this. You just pick one, for example, and then get them to share to their millions and millions of followers. All right. So this is only a breakdown of what influences that we have, the rough influences that we have. But if you look deeper, you realize there are also a few categories of influencers or ambassadors that are their strength in that sense, or their characteristic. We break it down to 5 different characteristics. Number one is the pioneer. If you look at ambassadors or people who are influential power, you need to work with pioneers. You work with them towards a passionate cause. For example, like saving the earth, like Earth Hour, political news. So the pioneers usually are more forefront. Include them early on in your campaign so they feel that ownership and ready to, with passion, go that extra mile for the brand as well. Now, if you look at the second column, you see amplifiers. These are people with well respected in their field. It can be business, it can be politics, or it can be even brands, retails, brands, and so on. Use them to drive reach. All right, guys, we use them to drive reach, leverage on their high engagement to drive certain level of conversation. Now, it doesn't have amplifiers doesn't need any professional posting or content. They can run with anything as because their base or their audience base follows them for a specific niche as well and respects them for what they have done perhaps for the country as well. If you move on to authorities, now this is interesting because then you can gain credibility, endorsement from these influencers. So these are like your chiropractors, your doctors, dermatologists, surgeons, any sort of this authority figure that you can get endorsement from. Their following usually you can use that endorsement then to reach out to amplifiers, scalers to really scale your brand as you go on your different campaigns. Now, there are also one that's called participators. Sorry, participators. This largest portion of your following, actually, these are the biggest group. keep them engaged and produce content that speak to them, so they share to their community organically. These are the group of people that will be your brand ambassadors, your organic brand ambassadors. And then we have the last one, of course, we call scalers. These again are more again on your celebrities, 1 million and above. They drive trends, they drive your content into mainstream. So you want to reach out to scalers after you probably get an authority figure to endorse your brand or product. And then you can reach out to scalers to really scale and go to the next level, especially if you want to go overseas. Now, use this wisely, break that down and find which season your brand or product is in. Then you'll be able to find that footing into certain influencers. Just to dive a little bit deeper, we thought we'd give you a few case studies. If you look at Daniel Wellington now, most of you know Daniel Wellington, I'm sure, the watch brand, right? Years ago, they fully built their brand through influencer marketing. They only use influencer marketing to push their brand, never use a traditional marketing medium at all. Even until now, most of their content is UGC, user-generated content, either through micro or nano influencers. Daniel Wednesday is extremely a good brand to reference from because they're all fully online, although they have offline shops right now. But marketing wise, they're fully online. They use people to engage with the different types of people who will be more interested in different types of watches. If you move on to the second one is eyewear, Warby Parker. Wearing Warby, a page dedicated to showing influencers. So they have this landing page or this page built just to showcase all their influencers that are using Warby Parker's glasses, right? They are not being sponsored in a certain or paid to a certain extent. I believe they also sponsor their products to them, and they organically share in a stylized manner to their community. And if you look at this, you notice that the followers that the influencers have are anywhere between 60K to 500K. So anywhere from the micro to macro influencers, they are building that relationship with them and also showcasing them as influencers on a highly rated page. Gamers out there, you will know this for all Fortnite. They challenge TikTok. So they challenge TikTok users to actually create dances that could then be turned into official emotes on Fortnite game characters. Now, this is pretty interesting, right? So using influencers to create a movement where they be adopted into the game. And this is fully using influencers as well, using the leveraging on their community to show them that, hey, I'm doing this dance for this game and it's going to be featured there. So there's an integrated communication right there with influencer plus a game. This is extremely interesting because you're tapping on certain influencers that may not even have strictly, or they are not even strictly gamers, but they may be a lifestyle influencer. However, you must always keep in mind the same lifestyle community who buys a G-Shock watch, for example, also plays Fortnite, for example. You need to make that correlation, and then you're able to tap and find which influencers are then best for you. All right. I will move on straight to influencer matchmaking part two. Now, this is diving into the persona and also the data level of things on influencers. You are free to check out your influencers, check them out, and know their persona, know their data more in depth. This is easy because if you look into every influencer, you're able to tap and search into their community, their audience. You're able to see their engagement rate and which platforms they're most active on. On community and audience, you realize that you can do this manually or use an analytics software or even check with your agency or manager. This is a good due diligence to do before engaging an influencer. So you are well aware of the community, you're well aware of their audience. At the same time, you're well aware of the persona as well, whether it carries your brand. Secondly is engagement. This is important. If you use engagement as a gauge, nowadays is a good engagement. But however, it's not everything. If you look like shares, comments, reshares, retweets, and so on, it's a good gauge, but not the most important to a certain extent. You also may want to focus in on their so-called lower weightage engagement like likes, because that actually shows an acknowledgement and awareness from their community, and you're actually getting eyeballs on your brand. So if your objective and goals is to get eyeballs, awareness, drive that lead gen, this then is your matrix that you perhaps need to look at as well. And this is important. The next one, the third one, is active platforms, because you already know as a brand which platforms your community is most active on, and which influencers will then give you the highest reach on certain platforms. Now, every influencer in general are active on two platforms: Instagram, Facebook, um, Instagram, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, YouTube, Facebook, or even YouTube, TikTok for the more video driven influencers, right? So you already know where your active platforms are. Choose influencers from those platforms. Focus in. Don't try to choose too many platforms at one go. Try to leverage on those platforms you feel best and most comfortable with, and you also comfortable with the way the influencers will make their content. Because if you look at TikTok, it's a whole new behavior as well. However, TikTok and Instagram, although the system is different, the audience are different, but the content itself, building video, dance videos, there are a lot of cross sharing as well, using TikTok and Instagram. There's a whole huge debate on TikTok as well, whether or not it's actually engaging, whether it brings conversion. But I go back to say again, it's all back to your objective and your influencer strategy. We have said this last week during our webinar as well. You can see the recorded video on Open Academy's page, is that TikTok, you will want to use the influencer more than start your own campaign, if you know what I mean. You want to reach out to those influencers again and run your campaigns through them and through their community, and give them the creativity, give them the creative space to build the content and to build the video as best as they can as well. Now, going into the second last point is everything to do with planning and being detailed. Now, when you engage with influencers, you need to be very clear of your results and your objectives so that you can track and analyze pre, current, and post campaign. Now, this is simple. How exactly then do you be detailed? Now, for brands that are engaging influencers, especially in these MCO times, always give a detailed plan, because you probably won't be able to meet every influencer one by one. So you also want all of them to sing the same song, to be in sync, to be in tune with the brand's messaging. How can you do that? You can always prepare a sales kit, a press kit, something to brief them. And I believe a lot of influencers are very used to this. They're very used to looking at PR kits and so on. So in your PR kit or your brief, you want to include brand identity, for example. Be clear of your brand context, the purpose and the corporate identity. Allow them, the influencers, to really experience your brand. And if it's not MCO time and you're able to give virtual tours around your product, how your products are made, where are the factories, the whole experience. I do encourage brands out there to do that as well, so that you're able to give that experience, share that story with the influencers and your ambassadors. Then you're able to gain more of their trust. You're able to gain that experience. They're able to see the heartbeat of the brand. So brand identity and this brief is extremely important for the influencers to first get to know your brand from your context and your lens, right? The second thing is campaign mechanics. Campaign mechanics basically means the detailed flow or the instructions of how you enter a campaign, or what kind of do's and don'ts you want or don't want. How do people participate? Certain hashtags and description, certain keywords to use and not to use. So campaign key mechanics is extremely important, because it gives the influencers then a very clear view of how your brand messaging and exactly how you want your postings to be, and on a specific product, how you want it to be explain, how do you want people to think of that certain product in a certain way. All right, because they may want to change the brand image or of the certain product to be more athletic. Now it feels a bit more traditional, but a certain jeans, perhaps they want to make it more athletic. So they perhaps will tell you, don't use jeans, use stretchy jeans or athletic jeans, right? Try to use certain of these words. So a campaign mechanic, for example, also includes hashtags, certain areas that you can help the influencers make a judgment call on how or where, which platforms to also post up this content. Now, the last one I talk about specifically video again, because we've been talking a lot about video and video communication again on all these platforms, whether you're on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, video is on extreme high right now. So to be clear, you need to have a storyboard. No matter it's a 10-second video or 10-minute video, you need to have a clear storyboard, actions, props, setting, appearance, tone, variations, all that you need, especially in this CMCO time. It is very difficult to work on the video with an influencer if the client or the crew is not there to support you or give immediate feedback. Now, a 5-hour shoot can double or triple the time just because of this communication that's going on. So to avoid that, brands, you can communicate through a storyboard, a very, very clear storyboard, a detailed storyboard, and with all the criteria needed to help your influencers make the correct judgment, to make the best call they can for their community and platform as well. All right, we're going to the last point, right? The last point is this. Now, a lot of us may not want to talk about this, oh, great, I can involve or engage influencers right now. But the question is always then, how much should I pay them? Should I even pay them? I think this is a whole debate going on as well. But to us, it's very simple. Number one, pay. Right? Why do I say this? Let me justify this. Yes, you have to pay because ultimately, right, largely on a larger scale, it is a job and a gig, and you're hiring basically a modern day model. Have you seen models not getting paid? Freelance models not getting paid, for example. Focus on the facts and value your influencers will add to your marketing goals rather than discussing on pay, how much I should pay you, I shouldn't pay you. And you want to focus on the value. If you're a brand marketer, you will be able to do some back end calculation. If you pay 1,000 ringgit to an influencer to do one posting, for example, how much ROI can that potentially get you just by looking at some reach matrix, just by looking at some areas where you're able to tap into the matrix, you're able to already find these clues, right? So nowadays the market rate, some of you may ask, is around 500 to 2005. It may be lower, it might be way higher as well, depending on which um, platform, which influencer, how many audience that they have, so on and so forth. Now you can do that. You can go by upfront cash payment, or you can actually do a hybrid, meaning to say cash plus sponsorship. Now, sponsorship, don't overuse this, but if you feel that your influencer is, or the brand ambassador of yours likes to use your product, right? You stand a higher chance of getting them on board, right? You can have a hybrid again on this. You can sponsor them and see how you can build that long lasting relationship with them. And with sponsorship, perhaps you can also gauge to a certain level the performance of the influencer and the engagement, certain times or certain postings, certain words, the community. You can get a feel and engagement with your influencer as well. Last but not least, I love this the most, is that if brands are unable to put forth, at every point of time, a high amount of money to pay the influencer, you can also do a hybrid of enriching their lives, meaning to say being more organic. Let your products enrich their lives, especially products like if you reach out to a skincare influencer, right? If your skincare influencer really already use your product, technically you enrich their lives by adding on that value, be with them on that season of their lives, know what they're going through, and help them with their skin challenges or problems. Give them your product to use, uh, no strings attached, so that their post, and let them feel that experience, right? And show certain level of generosity, and let them post organically. I think this is a great partnership. Again, if you want to look at influencers and brands, you want to enrich their lives, because every influencer, I repeat, every influencers are human. And this brings me to my last slide. Every influencer is a human, right? Because of this, the more you need to engage with them, build affinity and a good relationship, they will naturally get this. They will naturally be your ambassadors, and the line between commercial deliverables and organic mentions become integrated. What you want to do is build that relationship so close with the influencer that they will push your brand even when you don't tell them to push. Now, this is the ideal situation to get at. Now, the best way to do that is to work together with your influencers, a set bunch of influencers, for let's say 3 6 months or a year, and try to help them grow their community based on your brand as well. have that integrated partnership. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So I encourage you to do that. It gives the influencer and your brand a better feel. And also it changes the perception of the brand to become more household, more relatable to the community and even new people that they reach out to as well. So with that, I conclude this session on effective influencer marketing. I hope all of you have gotten some gems out of this. Right, back to you, Celine.
All right. Thank you so much, Darrell. Any questions from the crowd about influencer marketing? Any questions at all? Do we have any questions? Feel free to leave them in the comments. Don't be shy. Darrell's here to answer all your questions.
Unless all has been covered. But we did have a few questions coming in for influencer marketing last week or so. Good questions asking on
Yeah, we
some
did.
areas on influencer marketing.
Yeah, I think one of the or like the most asked questions, I think in general, was how do they kind of approach influencers, especially during this time, right? During this whole
Yeah,
season, as you like,
yeah,
people like to say. So I think that was one of the top questions. Oh, okay.
yeah.
So that's the question that just came in.
Oh, there you
Is
go.
there a
All right.
best way to approach influencers? I guess this is a more general one.
Hmm. Yes, I think there is a best way, or I put it down to two prongs. Is number one, you would like to reach out to them directly, either through their managers, depending again what influencers you are engaging. The micro to micro onwards, a lot of them have their own managers. So some of the managers can be freelancers, they can be family members, friends, they can even be agencies and so on. So that's the best way to reach out to them is through their managers because they handle the schedule and they know all their commercial rates and their persona, the statistics, and so on. Secondly, is that you can reach out to them individually as well through email or through their Instagram PM and be genuine. The way to reach out to them best is to be very genuine and to show that this is a product. It's either you can be a startup, and you be genuine and be very non-calculative about sponsoring them. Perhaps don't ever say that when your
Mm-hmm.
first reach out, that I won't pay you. That's not a good start. That's not a good start. I think it's the same as if you're in a relationship, you're going on your first date, you don't tell the person, I won't pay for you tonight. I don't think it works that way, guys and girls. So it's the same thing. I think you need to reach out with a lot of genuine heart as well and tell them, try to build a sense of want for your product as you reach out to them as well. Try to engage influencers that you feel best that resonates with your product. Don't suddenly just if you're selling skin care and beauty, don't reach out to an influencer that perhaps into automobile, cars and cars and cars only. The person might not even care about what you're selling, vice versa.
Yeah.
Right? Hope that helps.
All right. Hope that helps. Hope that answered your question, Anna. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Do we have any other questions coming in? All right. No questions. All right. I'll wait for one more minute. If you guys have no questions, then I won't hold on for too long. Probably let you guys go about your day or your night. Oh, okay. We have an observation from Jeffrey. It says, not a question, but an observation. At some region, the mega influencers are using macro/micro influencers to promote their stuff, maybe because it's more closer to their audience. I would say that's very true.
The mega
I think people
influencers.
are quite nowadays. Yeah, so like nowadays, people are actually because I think you relate a little bit more to people who have slightly smaller followings, or maybe your friend that has a slightly bigger following. You might think they're a little bit more credible, and you might think that they believe in the brand a little bit more. That's why they promote
Yeah.
this particular item. So yeah, definitely, I think micro influencers or macro influencers is somewhat the way to go. And I think a lot of industries and businesses are already kind of going into it. It just depends on your objective, right? So I think Darrell mentioned before, if your objective is really, for example, to gain as much awareness as possible, maybe a bigger influencer might be better for you because they have a larger audience. But maybe if
Yeah.
you're trying to do something a little bit more specific or target a very specific group of people, maybe a smaller influencer or a macro or micro influencer might work even better for your brand. We have another question. How do you identify credible influencers?
I think credible influencers is again very subjective. What do you mean by credible, right? A lot of influencers nowadays, you have to understand again, they might take up certain jobs that may not be close to their heart. Again, this is just a commercial thing. Muted. Sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Sorry. Sorry for that. So you can look at how their matrix on followers are, whether they are real followers or not. You can do this also by going on the software online. You can do that, or you can manually look through certain of their followers. Some of them may look suspicious, or you can look at the credibility of their comments and their engagement from certain from their fans as well. Credibility nowadays, you can also check between agencies and how their relationships are with different influencers, and perhaps get a certain gauge of the working ethics. I think that's important, and how you can start working with them as well. So yeah, I guess those are certain ways you can look at credibility. Again, if you want to gauge, you can always sponsor products for them and see whether it works for your brand or not.
All right. I think
Yeah.
research is very important
Yeah.
when you're looking for anything, even
Yeah.
influencers, like even an item, you do a lot of research. So it's the same. I think if you're putting money into a certain kind of marketing, influencer is a form of marketing, right?
Yeah.
It's good to do a lot of research, understand the influencer, understand their audience a little bit more. I think Darrell mentioned don't just look at the followers count, maybe go into specifics into their audience, who exactly they are, who are the ones commenting, and you can
Yeah.
gauge from there.
Yeah.
Michelle asks, in Malaysia, what is the benchmark of a good/ acceptable ROI when it comes to influencer marketing? Ooh,
Oh wow.
interesting question.
Hi Michelle. Um, well, in Malaysia, let's talk about local, right? A lot of ROI in Malaysia. If you talk about marketing ROI, sometimes we don't really look at. It's sad to say, unfortunately, certain ROIs are untrackable to a certain extent. But if you put it into a more quantitative conversation right now, debate, right? A good and acceptable ROI is that if you can get uh, an optimized ROI. Let's talk about optimized ROI, more like it, meaning to say if you're able to build an ROI that is dynamic, that gives you 1.5 times, 2.5, 3 times more of what you invested into influencer in the next 6 to a year, I think that is great. If you can get up sales from 2 to 3 times more, I think that is a good gauge of ROI and engaging an influencer. It's very simple. If you look at influencers, you would tend to only engage them in certain months, for example. And perhaps sometimes you have a code for them, in fact. And this code can be used to track. Try your best to track these codes via just a top funnel lead gen. I would think influencers are very good at lead generation and awareness. When it comes to conversion, I believe it takes a lot more effort because you need a lot more landing pages, you need a lot more performance marketing and ads to be out there. You probably need a bunch of influence to be out there, accompanied by other forms of marketing. And just realize, guys and girls, influencer marketing is only a part and parcel of digital marketing, right? So I guess you can use that as an ROI, right? A good or acceptable 2 to 3 times what you've invested into the influencer, and try to look at your lead generation returns, your awareness returns, more than just purely conversion. It's a different objective, I believe so.
All right, we have one more question. Is there a way to check if the followers are genuine/unique? I think this one
Yes.
is, yeah.
I mean, there's ways you can just Google. There are tons of software out there that claim that they can also detect fake accounts, right? You can just plonk in the username. Some are free, some give you free results, some will give you a paid result. But you can do that. You can also go in, like I said, manually and check out the accounts. Effectively, you can really look at certain user accounts that are perhaps only created recently, following 1,000 people, but only one person following that account, that kind of thing. A bit dodgy. Maybe sometimes their account description of themselves leads to another account, or it leads outside to another page, perhaps. Usually they use, I won't put this as the ultimate. Usually they use like avatars. They don't use real pictures. They use a letter, for example, because you can't fake, in that sense, a real person, right? Although they are, but usually these are also indications of fake accounts, whether they're genuine as well.
All right. All right. There's one last question. Let's just go for this question. Hello, guys. Does influencer or Facebook advertising work better for low capital SME/business?
Sorry, can you repeat that again?
Does influencer or Facebook advertising work better for low capital SME/business?
Influencer marketing work for SMEs. Yeah, I think it works totally. I think there's one slide talking about how SMEs should also look into certain influencers, like your nano influences and your micro influences. I think those are great investments for SMEs, especially if you look at depending again what product you're selling as an SME, whether Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube is best for you. Different content also backs different payment or value or investment. So perhaps doing a video can be expensive. So why not just go with a posting or a GIF, or even just an Insta story? I think Insta story, although it lasts 24 hours, so just be ready at that time to engage with your followers, and make sure that when you engage them at that point of time, at 24 hours, that you share it out, perhaps get them to tag you some of the criteria, so that you can get the fullest out of their postings. And you can get a lot of sponsorships by just generally sending things to influencers' houses, go through their managers, go through their PICs, and see perhaps them just doing an organic shout out to you. That's good enough, especially in this time of MCO. I believe that the request and the demand for influencer marketing has risen because they're looking for communities, or looking for influencers that speak to community with a certain level of trust. That is hard to earn for a brand if you do not know your community or build your community from scratch.
All right. Hope that answers your question. So I guess that's it for questions. Thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. It has been an interesting one. Hope you guys gained something in terms of influencer marketing and help you guys a little bit more when it comes to influencer marketing. So before I let you guys go, if you can see on the screen, you can either scan the QR code or go to the link. Open Academy actually has launched a digital marketing starter kit. We have over 50 plus curated videos on foundational principles for digital marketing. So if you want to know how to create a digital marketing strategy and where to start from, or you have always wanted to dabble into digital marketing, this is the app for you. And we actually have a special coupon code for you. If you key in OA webinar, you actually get a discount, especially for you guys, because you guys joined me today. So thank you guys so much for joining us. I'll give you a little bit more time to scan the QR code or key in the link if you can't scan the QR code, just to go to the product page, just to see a little bit more about what this product is about. But thank you guys so much for joining. We will have more sessions like this again, so please tune in and make sure you follow us on Facebook, IG, whatever platform, and you will get updated on when and where we're having more of these live webinar sessions. All right, thank you guys so much. Good night.
Thank you. Good night. Bye.